Hey everybody, this is Grig, and I'm really excited to be launching my 30-day, maybe 3-year YouTube challenge, who knows. We haven't met each other, most likely, so I'll introduce myself. I'm Grig Richters. I'm originally from Germany. I've been doing storytelling, PR, film, activism, producing ever since I can remember. I have been a PR expert probably since 2009, since a plane landed in my backyard in New York City. It was the Miracle on Hudson, which here, if you remember, was a very, very lucky, almost plane tragedy, where essentially a plane landed in the Hudson River in New York City, and nobody died. And I happened to be living in an apartment building that was overlooking this scene. And so for days and days and days, while this plane was sitting literally in my garden, I had probably 100 film crews and journalists and photographers in my living room. I pretended they were all like uncles and relatives when I signed them in the lobby, because the entire airspace was restricted at the time and no journalists were allowed in and out. And so I hosted a lot of them in my living room, and I learned a lot about PR and media. And so that was kind of literally my jump into the cold water when it came to putting a story, producing a story for broadcast news on tight deadlines. And I guess the PR bug bit me, and I've had it ever since. And so I've been doing PR really since that day in 2009, cold January. Yep. And it was actually one of my most viewed YouTube videos. One of the videos of, I didn't film the actual plane landing, but I got footage of the plane being dragged from Midtown New York City over to Lower Manhattan, to Battery Park where I was living. And that footage has millions of views and made it to the movie Sully with Tom Hanks. So anyways, little anecdote there. Yes, and so why am I here? Why should you listen? Like I said, I've been doing this for a while. I've been working with a lot of big brands, Queen, Google, Amazon, you kind of name them, hundreds of small, medium, large businesses and business owners. I am here to promote something, but more than that, I want to give you value. This is not about promoting myself, although I want to plug my Skool community in the news. So if you're here because you want to be featured in the news, no matter what you do, whether you're an AI expert, business owner, author, you name it, you need to be in the news. So come join my community. Link is below in the description, and looking forward to having you. So that's that plugging out of the way. What I wanted to show you today, talk to you about, is probably the reason why you're here, why you're watching that video, is because either you clicked on that beautiful thumbnail or the title spoke to you. I have been working with hundreds and hundreds of individuals over the last few years, really since COVID, since I founded my PR agency, XWECAN. And I have been probably talking to a few thousand people that reached out to me via Upwork, via my LinkedIn, whatever channel it was. And they usually came to me because they thought that public relations, PR, is going to help them solve a core business problem. And in many cases, PR was not going to solve that problem. They wanted to grow the customer base. They wanted more visibility, but really they had other fundamental problems, like a terrible product or a terrible name or a terrible industry. They had many, many issues. PR was none of those. Now, PR is not always what you want. It's also not always what you need in kind of the classical way. Sometimes you need PR more as a crisis communication expert, maybe because you have a crisis and you have to put out a fire. Maybe you just fired 1,000 employees via Zoom, and it's a terrible thing to do, or, you are trying to drag everybody back to the office 5 years after COVID, whatever it is, maybe you have a crisis. But if you're here because you're in a very highly competitive industry, let's say in the AI space, or you run a local restaurant in your area, then PR might be the right thing for you right now. Because you may have seen, and this is what happens a lot, is somebody calls me and says, "Hey, Grig, my competitor is in Forbes. I have to be in Forbes." And that's true, but probably you should have called me 2 months earlier because your competitor just stole your slot. And this may have already happened to you. I'm not saying that, you can't be the one featured in Forbes, but why not prevent this from happening? Why not be the AI expert or one of the AI experts that is quoted on CNBC whenever Sam Altman puts out a new ChatGPT 17, or maybe you are a restaurant expert featured on the Food Network. Whenever there's a new restaurant, having to be critiqued or something like that, or the Michelin is putting out the new Michelin guides, or whatever it is, right? You get the point. The point is, you want to be there early, you want to be the voice, because once you are the voice, people will follow you, people will follow that leader, the person that they see on trusted sources. And in fact, LLMs, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, all of these, great new AI tools, they trust the media as a source almost more than any other source when it comes to finding out information about you, your business, unless you're like Apple or, you're one of those gigantic brands that has been around forever. It might be different, but in most cases, if you're kind of a small, medium, large-ish company that's still quite unknown, ChatGPT will be prioritizing information that it finds about you in the news. So be in the news. That's the place to be. That's the place where you can explode. That's the place where you can build trust. So I have brought a couple of kind of case studies, examples. I'll run you through them right now. So one great case study are Chris and Charlie. They run a company called Crypto Asset Recovery. Essentially, if you're in crypto and you lost your wallet, your Bitcoin wallet, especially if you came in early in crypto, and you are looking for somebody to hack into your wallet and retrieve your password, these are the two to call. CryptoAssetRecovery.com, amazing founders. And so, we placed them, me and my team, we placed them in places like Forbes and places like BBC, kind of you name it. And that obviously created tremendous value for their business, for their brand, right? In terms of visibility, just in terms of kind of standing within the industry. And this is just an example. I mean, it was a small business, father and son, very smart people, but very technologically savvy, not so much kind of on the storytelling side, like that just wasn't their thing. But they took a business that, kind of a lot of journalists, wouldn't have assumed is really kind of like mainstream national coverage. But, because when we were doing the framing, it was kind of at that first, really big bull run. That was, I think, back in 2021, I guess. It was just before FTX. Too technical, I know. But it was at a time when crypto was really exploding onto the scene. So when we made predictions like, we could have retrieved, I don't know, $6 billion in crypto if, you would be using a service like theirs, etc. Like big media picked it up. And as a result, it drove a huge amount of traffic, inquiries went up. And obviously that resulted in tons of business. And so we were kind of doing that pretty early. So they got a ton of credibility, but it's never too late to start doing that. It's just always too late when you don't do it. There's a ton of other examples, but really the point is, no matter what niche, what industry that you're in, there's probably somebody who already owns it. If not, then that's a great opportunity. But most of the time, somebody already is kind of like the voice. But it's never too late to become that voice. And in order to become that voice, sure, you can create the most incredible ads about yourself and say, I'm the best person, I'm the best AI automations engineer, I'm the best, soccer coach, I'm the best, whatever. But if the media, trusted brand like the BBC, like the New York Times, like the like Forbes says, Grig is the greatest PR professional on the planet Earth, well, almost, then obviously you will trust it much more than me kind of claiming that about myself. So it's all about, trying to be early if you can, but if not, trying to get that market share and that market voice by appearing in the right media publications. And just because the New York Times writes about you doesn't mean that that's where your audience is. But of course, having the New York Times logo and being featured in an article is priceless, absolutely priceless. But you don't have to just be in Forbes and the New York Times. You could be in AI Journal. You could be in kind of like whatever trade niche publication that represents your industry the most, that people within your industry read and consume. Try and become that voice there. Try and contribute articles, for example, or be on TV or the radio show or the podcasts or the YouTube channel, whatever that is. But I would really, in this case, because we're talking about really true PR, which really isn't podcasting and blogging, no offense, that's more marketing. True PR, this would be a trade outlet, like sort of the New York Times or the Forbes. Like, what is that publication that's been around ideally for some time, that people trust within your niche, within your industry, the most? Kind of like a lot of people trust the New York Times or Fox News if you're kind of on the, if you're having the political debate. But, you know what I'm saying. So try and become that voice in that publication. And sometimes it's a lot easier than you think. We placed a very unknown chef from the Middle East in Vogue America for Valentine's Day because they had a slot open. They were looking for 4 world-class chefs. And guess what? My client was featured next to, 3 Michelin-starred chefs. The only complete unknown. His social media blew up. And, during COVID, when, restaurant businesses were doing terribly, he actually started doing extremely well because all of a sudden he had all this leverage, this credibility. It was actually gigantic for his brand. In fact, we got him involved with the World Food Program, which later, a campaign that we participated in. Not saying this campaign caused this, but the World Food Program, as part of that campaign, won the Nobel Peace Prize. So some really cool things. This is my very first video. I hope you like it. Subscribe, do all kind of like the stuff. You guys know what to do. I've been around YouTube for some time, more as a viewer, and more as a kind of a professional in the background, rather than the face. But if you like this, if you have any comments, please let me know. Engage with me. Come to my school. Let's figure out what your story is. Let me help you, because that's what I do, apparently. All right. So then we've got this. Going back. There's also a beautiful story here. Same Chris and Charlie. This is just a really great story. So they found, this woman here in this case, Rhonda, she had bought, don't quote me, like Bitcoin at a ridiculous price, a few dollars, right? And, then when Bitcoin was really blowing up, I think this is 2022, so 2021, I think it was 2021 when they're really blowing up 2022. All of a sudden, I think the $10 or $50 Bitcoin was worth like 75,000 and more. And then she used that money and she had no idea that, what she had bought back then was like going to be worth this much. But what did she use that money for? She used the money to pay for her daughter's college tuition. And I just think that's such a beautiful story and kind of shows you the impact of the work that these guys, have been doing for years. One of many great clients of ours. I just wanted to show you a couple of tools. So Help a Reporter Out's been there for a while. It's probably one of the most well-known kind of tools. If you want to learn everything about PR, position yourself in PR as a media expert in the next 90 days, come join my Skool community, and I will teach you everything that you can possibly learn about PR. And I mean it. It'll be kind of full on. You'll be an absolute mastermind at, pitching. If you're doing this for your boss, if you're doing this for a colleague, if you're doing this for yourself, if you're doing it for your book, join my community. Now, I want to give you value, and when I do these videos, I want to make sure that, you don't have to join the community to get all of this value, because it's also right now just a paid community. It's $99 a month, but that's why I want to kind of keep this stuff free here. It's YouTube, it's free. So HARO, Help a Reporter Out, is a really great place to start if you're kind of, if you're just, if you've mastered whatever you mastered, whatever, like, business, business owner, you run a restaurant, you're an AI expert, you just came out of college, like whatever kind of it is that you think you're an expert in, places like HARO are a great way to start, because what happens is you subscribe as a freemium, really just use the free version. And then every day, I think twice a day, you get around 100 requests from journalists asking for comments from experts. And I've been able to place, very unknown people in the past, in the Washington Post, in the New York Times. Typically, these are not features that you get, but you get quoted, you get mentioned in the New York Times, maybe one of 10 people, one of 10 experts, but it doesn't really matter. You still, oftentimes you get the backlink, and if nothing else, you can say, I was featured in the New York Times. I mean, that's a huge deal, or in Forbes or whatever. It's also very small publications, and obviously, well, not obviously, but if you go for the New York Times, make sure that comment is amazing, make sure it's not AI generated, make sure it's absolutely amazing, because typically within my experience, maybe like 30, 40 minutes, they get over 100 replies. So be fast and just come up with something that you think might be different, and also in a sentence describe why you are a true expert. There are other tools like Quoted, and some other tools as well. I can probably, if there's demand for it and interest, I can go through these in a different video. This is another really great place. Twitter X, still one of the best feeds. Hashtag journal request, completely free, obviously. Obviously these days, but you get a kind of endless feed of opportunities in the media, journalists sort of putting them out, asking for requests. Now, I feel like it's gotten a little spammy. I feel like it's gotten very, very UK-centric. It was always kind of UK-centric. So if you're in the US, I think your best shot, if you want just some quick mentions, is to go into HARO, sign up, become an expert. And I would also really advise you not just to try and comment on the New York Times, because everybody else wants that placement in New York Times or Forbes or CNN. But also go for some of the smaller ones, the tier 2, the tier 3, the ones that people don't know. Build yourself up a little bit at repertoire, have people, when they search your name, when they Google your name, kind of like I'm doing now, which I surely never do. When you Google your name, just have some stuff about you that's kind of searchable, right? Like kind of a few articles that makes a journalist trust you more. Sometimes I even get this question from journalists if I am pitching them first and my client is completely unknown and has never been featured anywhere else. They're like, has your client ever been featured anywhere else? And I'm like, no, you're the first. And they're like, come back to me when he or she has been featured somewhere else, because journalists, can be quite skeptical. Good reasons behind it. There's a lot of scam, a lot of fake out there. So, having a little bit of that repertoire and being mentioned and kind of being visible in the news is a good thing. And so, yeah, I've had kind of like the funniest kind of quotes and stuff like that. I think once I was an alien. Maybe an alien was in my body or something like that, one of the newspapers wrote. Different story, not a time. Anyways, this is my very first of hopefully many videos. I am looking forward to your feedback. Again, subscribe to my video. Please check out my Skool community. Again, link below. Yeah, if you enjoy this, then I hope to see you tomorrow. And tomorrow is Tuesday. I'm on Central European time, so it's kind of Berlin time. I'm going to try and upload these videos around midnight my time, which is kind of now-ish, to have them ready for sort of evening East Coast US time. Again, if you enjoy this, please leave a subscribe, and I hope to see you again. Thanks.